Welcome inside the Cowan Spectrum. Vandals fans geared up for a midseason WAC matchup as the Utah State Aggies visit the Idaho Vandals. Hi everybody, I'm Trey Bender alongside former DePaul standout Stephen Howard. Glad you're with us. Perhaps no team has endured more adversity than Utah State. They've lost 3 starters, 2 of their top scorers to injury. Meanwhile, Idaho, adversity as well. They've lost 5 of 7 despite leading the league in field goal percentage. But both of these clubs looking for answers.
Well, you're right, Trey. Talk about Utah State team, a team that's used to winning the WAC. After 4 straight losses, they're just trying to win a basketball game. And then the Idaho Vandals losing 5 out of the last 7 by an average of 5 points. The ball bounces a different way. We could be looking at the top 1 or 2 teams in the WAC. They're both trying to right the ship. Now, for Utah State, the player that's going to have to right the ship for them has got to be Spencer Butterfield. In the last 2 losses last week, he's averaging 19.5 points and 13 rebounds. Clearly the only butter in his name and not his game. Spencer's going to have to be that dude for the Aggies to win tonight in Idaho.
Our one-on-one takes a closer look at adversity, and on the other side, maybe the WAC Player of the Year.
Well, you know, Trey, for Utah State, they've lost their #1 scorer and their top defender in the same week. This is a team now that has to have more will than skill, and then you're going to have to do it on the road. And nobody in the WAC is playing better than Cal Barone, averaging almost a double-double, 9.7 rebounds a game. That's 20th in the country, and shooting 59% from the field. That's 10th best in Division I. He's a guy that, for me, is the most complete player in the WAC and is playing extremely hot right now for the Vandals.
Interesting matchup. The home team has won each of the last 7 matchups. Aggies won the first this year in overtime in Logan. We'll tip it next from Moscow. State and Idaho both trying to stay in the upper half with that WAC postseason tournament in mind in Las Vegas come March. Utah State, a team that has dealt with injuries, specifically Preston Medlin and Keyshawn Reed. The 2 top scorers are out, and this is the 5 as they've looked the last 4 games. They've really relied on Butterfield and Shaw for a brunt of their offense. On the other side, the Idaho Vandals have been pretty consistent with these 5. The shooting of Hill has been big. We know about Barone, but Madison is the #2 option. A 6'5" junior out of Portland, Oregon, can score in bunches. Vandals have lost 5 of 7. Don Verlin trying to right the ship. He's done a tremendous job. 3 postseason trips in 4 years. First Idaho coach to win 15 games in each of his first 4 seasons. And postseason expectations every year. They've made it to the College Insider Tournament the last 2 seasons under his guidance. And here's one of the nation's best in Stu Morrill. 4th best win percentage in the nation the last 13 years. One of the most respected coaches around. He's one of 17 active with 500 career wins, 359 of those at Utah State. They run a lot of similar stuff, Stephen.
Yeah, 2 coaches very similar. Of course, Verlin from that Morrill tree. And you're going to see 2 teams that shoot high efficiency shots. They run a lot of the same sets, and they don't take bad shots. So it should be a great game.
Look at the series history. An overtime win in Logan in the first matchup this season, and home teams have done the job, and that's a credit to Don Verlin turning this program around. It was dominated by Utah State prior to his arrival. Barone against Shaw, the WAC Player of the Year candidate against the WAC Newcomer of the Year candidate, and the Aggies get the first possession. Marcel Davis, freshman from American Fork, Utah, at the controls. Here's Shaw. Spin move, and the baseline shot is off the mark, but Clifford clears the rebound. 2 good rebounding teams today.
Oh, you're right.
The cutter is Davis, and the feed from Clifford on the money for the first points.
You know, that's huge for Davis. The last 5 games, he has shot 4 for 30. That's 13% from the field. Before that, he was 5 for 10. So for him to see that basket going to the bucket is going to be huge for the Aggies.
Idaho clearly has advantage in terms of depth. Just 8 players, scholarship players for Utah State. Trying to shorten practice, stay as fresh as we can, according to Stu Morrill. And they had a very limited shoot-around today.
They're going to have limited shoot-arounds, limited practices for the remainder of the season. You want to keep these guys fresh, and that's one of the reasons why they started out in a 1-2-2 zone. keep these guys fresh.
And there's Kyle Barone showing he can step out, has very good range in that 18-foot area.
Well, when you have a guy like Barone, kind of a stretch five, if you will, step out, hit that first shot, a guy that's very adept inside the paint, that's a good sign for the Vandals.
Here's Butterfield on the move for the Aggies. Davis in the lane, short, follows his shot for the bucket.
See, Davis did a good job of being first for that second rebound, got the ball, and again, Utah State in that 1-2-2 press, not really trying to steal the ball, but more so trying to cause an unforced turnover like we just saw.
And they put the Vandals out of kilter for that turnover.
Now look at this last basket. He goes up, and as a shooter, you can anticipate that miss better than the defender. He went up quickly, laid it in, great second chance opportunity. Davis, the only player scoring for the Aggies early on.
Pure point guard, true freshman at the controls. They'll also use Teneo Rowland at that spot as well.
They had high expectations about Davis at the beginning of the year, and after 6 games, he took a hold of that starting point guard spot, and he's been on the go ever since.
Loses the handle there, but it will stay with the Aggies as it's knocked out of bounds. Coach Morrill looking for other people to step up besides Shaw and Butterfield. They were almost the whole offense last game.
He doesn't have a choice. Last game against Idaho, Preston Medlin had 32 points, including the game winner. So from the onset, they're 32 points in the hole at the beginning of this game.
Davis pass also off of Shaw's hands. Clifford retains it though, and Shaw sticks the jumper. And right now they're getting the loose balls in the early going.
Well, see, that's the big key for this team is they don't have a lot of skill, but they do have the will, and a coach should never have to coach effort. And this Utah State Aggies basketball team has abundance of effort, and you saw that in that last play.
Yeah, it's a winning tradition. They expect to be in the postseason year in and year out. Last year, 21 wins. WAC champions the previous 4 years.
You know, the question for me is how long can they continue to play hard like they have been without getting any wins?
Harris on the move, and he's fouled by Davis on his cut to the goal.
You know, looking at that last play, great drive, attacking the rim, initiating contact, and Harris doing a good job of exploiting that weakness, turning the corner, and once he saw daylight, trying to get to the rim.
Left-hander, first-year league guard, much like Davis, but he spent 2 years at Eastern Arizona Junior College, and it's helped with them at that spot because it's moved McChristian, kind of a glue guy, over to that wing spot, and he does a lot of things well for him.
No, it really has, and the fact that he was a JUCO player, it takes them a little while to get acclimated to that Division I style of play, and as of late, Harris has had more of a feel for this team, and he's running the team exceptionally well.
Good start for the visitors from Logan here as we near that first media timeout.
And one thing to keep an eye on for Utah State, they have the 20th slowest pace in Division I, so they're not trying to get up and down, particularly after all those injuries to their star players.
How about that shot by Davis, who's off to a blistering start. He lays it in. He's been the initiator, and an 8-3 start for Utah State.
You know, that's huge, like I mentioned. 4 for 30 the last 5 games. He's hit 6 out of the first 8 points for the Aggies, and for your floor general like Marcel Davis, that's huge for them to start out so hot.
Let's talk about the Aggies' keys to the game, Stephen.
Well, for the Aggies, first they got to make shots. As I mentioned, last game only Shaw and Butterfield made majority of the field goals. Only 2 other players had 2 field goals. Other guys have to step up in offensive glass. They get 39% of the offensive boards. That's 19th best in the country. They attack that offensive glass relentlessly.
Boy, if Marcel Davis starts looking for his shot, that could open some things up. We haven't even seen Butterfield yet.
Well, see, what happens when a player like Davis starts to get that flow offensively, initially they were going to leave him alone on the offensive side, almost let him shoot. But now he's another player that you have to game plan for throughout this game.
Going to grow up in a hurry in his freshman season.
See, that's one of the benefits for Davis and these other players is you're not going to be looking over your shoulders because there's no one there for the coach to throw in if you make a mistake.
First team All-Stater out of American Fork. He was coming in 3rd in the WAC in assist turnover ratio. Pretty good numbers for a guy that is new on the job.
I look for the Vandals to get the ball down low to Barone, kind of establish that paint where they have the definite advantage.
Try to trap Hill. They get inside the Barone, off balance, off the mark, and it's controlled by Butterfield.
Now One thing Utah State does is they see advantages, they will take the shot, but if not, they're going to pull it back and run a good set.
And Spencer Butterfield knocks it down. Second in the WAC at 43% from out there, and he can light you up in a hurry at 23 against Texas Arlington.
You know, Spencer's a great story, a guy that got his opportunity, he embraced it, and now he's become that guy for the Aggies. And it's great to see a guy who's paid off with the work. Now he's playing exceptionally well.
Here's Stephen Madison trying to answer. Inside, Mansa Habib. Charge is called as Ben Clifford had position. Stu Morrill has the perfect game plan in the early going. Getting production from his freshman point guard Davis, and Spencer Butterfield, the junior, a confident shooter, knocks down the triple. Of their first 7 from the floor, out to an 11-3 lead here in Moscow. Injuries are part of college basketball, but it seems unfair what Utah State has had to endure. First, it was Danny Berger, cardiac arrest in practice on December 4th, and then Medlin and Reed going down in the game at New Mexico State.
Well, the huge one was Preston Medlin, a guy who not only was going to be first-team All-WAC, but arguably WAC Player of the Year. And then Kaisine Reed, the guy that was their most athletic player and the guy that defensively was their stopper. And so losing both of those guys, integral pieces for Utah State, is really difficult to overcome.
In 27 years coaching, Stu Morrill's never seen anything like it. His kids have really responded. They've been playing hard. He's been proud of that. Shot off the mark by Davis, and they win another loose ball.
And that was a design play by Coach Morrill, getting it to the hot hand of Davis out of that timeout, trying to use that curl play, want to keep it going for Davis.
And there's Jared Shaw, maybe the WAC newcomer of the year with a bucket, 13-3. All right, Vandals Keys are not off to a good start here.
Well, no margin. You got to take a hold of Butterfield. He can't get off this game. He's averaged 19.5 points, 13 rebounds the last 2 games, and then speed it up. Utah's the 20th slowest paced team in the country. They have no depth on the bench. You want to get to that 7th, 8th guy. You want to wear them down in that second half.
Vandals, the top shooting team in the WAC, struggling even to get a shot off here in the early going.
Well, what happened is Utah State started the game, hit him in the mouth, and the Vandals have not responded accordingly.
Madison misses badly. Here's Davis in transition. Marvin Jean, that jumper's good. It's a 3, 16-3. The Aggies are 6 of 9 from the field.
You know, Trey, when Marcel Davis hit those first couple shots, this team, you could see the confidence build with the Aggies, and you get that trickle-down effect with that point guard. When he starts out well, the rest of the team follows suit.
Here's Barone, and a charge call. Shaw was there with the position on the baseline, and right now it's coming unraveled. Their mind not right here in the early going on the home floor.
I definitely see some frustration with the Vandals. You see the lowering of the shoulder by Barone. He even looked at the official knowing what was going to come with that call, and the Vandals have to slow this basketball game down. They have to play their game. Utah State has clearly took the reins of this game in their hands.
Stu Morrill used this opportunity to take out Clifford, and Jordan Stone, a 6'10", 270-pounder now on the floor.
And you know, for whatever reason, we talked to the Utah State coaches during shoot-around, Barone just does not play well against the Aggies, and you can see it in this game, really struggling to get a hold of this game.
And he goes to the floor there, no foul called, and Shaw drops in the jump hook.
Well, Barone just trying to take a charge himself, and the refs want you to let him play. Shaw did not duck his shoulder. Good no call by the refs.
What a statement for a Utah State team without their top 2 players. They've lost 4 straight. They're playing like a seasoned club right now on the road. Hill for 3. They needed that one. That's the top 3-point shooter in the WAC, Connor Hill, the sophomore.
And the 26th best 3-point shooter in the country, and that's a guy that whenever he has the basketball across half court, you're going to have a hand in his face, and he showed why with that nice jumper from deep.
Stone doesn't look to score often. Gets it to Butterfield just inside the arc. Rims out of there. McChristian the rebound.
And this is where Idaho has to go out to the races, take advantage of their numbers.
And that's where they're at their best as Barone finishes off the camera miss. Very good off miss shots.
Barone, one of the best in transition in the country. And you can see with the follow of that missed shot as a player, you never want to anticipate that a shot's going in. Great follow, great fast break transition by the Vandals.
4 points for the Idaho big man. trying to get his team back into this one.
Not only that, you get the crowd back into the game with that nice dunk.
And there's a turnover as Butterfield lost the handle on the left wing.
Looking back at this last play, and you see nice throw ahead to... Oh, we'll have to come back to that later. Little difficulties.
Well, they're very good off the misses, but when you have the big guys, you got to reward them. And sometimes you reward yourself on that offensive glass.
No, you do. And looking at the Vandals, they only create 8 turnovers a game. That's 5th worst in the country. So they have to create fast break opportunities off of rebounds, and that's what they do.
And another 3 for Hill. Look out. He can light you up. Had 20 at New Mexico, 6 threes in that game, and they're within 7.
Well, Hill is your typical stretch player, and he will stretch defenses. I love the confidence in his game, though. He feels whenever he has a basketball in his hand, he can make shots, and if he's open, he will.
And Idaho's now turned up the pressure defensively, playing with some passion. That shot by Davis misses badly. Tracked down by Shaw. Loses the handle. Great play by Habib.
And that's one of the problems by Shaw. He puts the basketball down too much. Great job by the Vandals attacking it when he did that.
Harris forces one up there. Pace is picked up. This would favor, you would think, Idaho. They want this thing a high-scoring, up-tempo, more up-tempo game.
No, it definitely would, Trey, and that's why you saw Stu Morrill in that play tell Davis, slow it down. Let's get the shot that we want. Let's play at the pace that we want.
Janelle Rowland is on the floor. Clifford and Lopez are going to check in at the next opportunity. Shot clock at 10 for Rowland. And there's a charge. Both teams getting position defensively, and that one will go the other way. A transition bucket for Idaho.
Well, a great follow transition. Barone with the follow. Nice fast break by the Vandals.
But the Vandals have answered thanks to perimeter shooting from this guy, Connor Hill, the WAC's best from beyond the arc.
Well, Connor Hill, a local kid from up the road. His 45 threes account for 45% of all the threes for the Vandals. And when he gets the basketball, as you see, he feels like he always is a threat. He is making his presence known early in this basketball game.
53 threes for Connor Hill. And he has 100 in his career. Look at those numbers. That's amongst the best you'll find anywhere.
Well, he's definitely the best three-point shooter in the WAC. And today for this game, he's going to have to stretch that defense so Barone can go to work down on the post.
Here in the midway point, first half, Vandals have battled back. Here's Habib, almost lost the handle.
And again, the Aggies in that 1-2-2 zone, packing it in for Barone.
And that was deflected by Marvin Jean. Got his hand up there outside the arc.
And I can guarantee you Hill is not going to be on the bench long. They need to have someone to extend that defense so Barone can go to work.
Janelle Rowland, the junior from Louisville, Kentucky, and a foul called on Utah State. That's Matt Lopez, 6'11" sophomore, whistled for the foul.
And, you know, they really expected Lopez to be a player for them early on. He transferred from LaSalle. His first game, he had 8 points, but since then, he really hadn't even come close to that type of production. He needs to play big with these more opportunities he's getting.
In that pressure, as it takes Idaho some time to clear it into the front court and set their offense.
And they'd love to get a steal, but they really want to just eat up that clock and give the Vandals a shortened shot clock.
Harris with the shot clock down to 10. Barone calling for the basketball. Habib makes a move. 5 on the clock for Harris. His three's on the money. He's 43%, doesn't shoot it a lot, but shoots it well when he does.
And really that play was made by the quick passing by Barone. The ball did not die in his hand. He got rid of it quickly, allowed that shooter to step into it and knock it down.
Outside shooting has been the story for the Vandals, cutting the lead now to 4. Clifford, good position, and the feed on the money from Marvin Jean. Borton into the game now. He's dealt with a number of knee injuries. Look at the run for Idaho to get back into this one.
And that's one thing they've done in this run is take great shots. The Vandals have an effective field goal percentage of 54%. That's 21st in the country. they take and make good basketball shots.
Habib in traffic against Clifford. He's 6'3", but he plays a lot bigger, the senior from Buffalo.
And see there, he just was able to use his quickness to go around Ben Clifford. And that's where the Vandals have the edge in that athleticism meter.
Both teams going to their bench early and often. There's Rowland with a wild shot off the mark. Here come the Vandals in transition. Borton. They'll reset things out front. Shot clock down to 10, and they almost turned over. 5 on the shot clock. Harris for 3. Off the heel, Barone the rebound. And the putback.
Trey, you talk about a fortuitous bounce, and that ball just went right into the Vandals' hands.
Timeout, Utah State. They were up 16-3 at the outset, now 20-18. And Idaho more active, but they've also knocked down some big shots from the outside.
Yeah, big shots, but when the ball bounces your way, as it did in this possession, you see Harris just put up a shot at the end of the shot clock. It went into the Vandals' hands. They got it to Barone, who was attacking the offensive glass. And when you're aggressive, you make things happen. And that's what who I think is the WAC Player of the Year, Kyle Barone, did in that instance.
This team's so similar in terms of the way they approach the game. Of course, Don Verlin, 15 years an assistant under Stu Morrill at Utah State. And Morrill at practice today told us, very underappreciated the job Verlin has done. He believes, 3 postseason trips. They won 19 games last year, but people expect the NCAA tournament. But he's getting it done year in and year out, a winner here.
19 games, that's the most they've won here since the 92-93 season. That says a lot. And what Verlin's doing is bringing that winning culture that Morrill has created at Utah State.
Clifford misses, but there's Shaw on the inside. The junior from Dallas puts him up 4.
And that's one thing that the Aggies do exceptionally well. They are #1 in the WAC in offensive rebounds. They get 39%. That's 19 in Division I.
6 points now for Shaw. And you get the sense this game's kind of settled into a flow here. It was kind of helter-skelter in the early going.
Well, the Vandals have kind of got into their rhythm. Utah State knows that they have to play with aggression and activity.
Good defense by Clifford on Madison, and they turn it over. Butterfield ahead to Rowland. Can't convert, and Madison has it.
And this is where Madison is most dangerous, in the open court.
The Christian cut off, and they'll reset.
Getting a nice little breather for Kyle Barone, and if they can keep this game right where it's at in that 4-2 range.
Oh, and Harris throws it away. McChristian in the corner, but off the mark with that pass. Both teams shooting well. 56% for Utah State, 58% for Idaho. Habib doing some of the dirty work on the inside. Aggies by 4. The Aggies on a 4-game losing streak. Vandals have lost 5 of 7. This has been a well-played first half, though, and both offenses are clicking.
Well, Trey, you have 2 of the best shooting teams in the WAC and 2 of the best rebounding teams in the WAC. So whichever team is able to get that slight edge defensively on the shots, that slight edge on the glass is going to come out winners. But both teams playing exceptionally well to start this game.
Idaho coming in #1 in the WAC at 48%. And Utah State 47%, just behind him. Of course, a different look now without Medlin and Keyshawn Reed, but look at those numbers.
Yeah, and both teams have only missed 1 shot from 3, and so, as I mentioned, the team that's going to be able to get into the other defensively is going to be able to come out ahead, because both teams know how to run their offenses efficiently, and they know how to get the shots that they want.
Denzel Douglas now into the game, guarding Marcel Davis, who's played very well in the first half at the point guard spot. But Christian got a hand on that one, pokes it free, and Douglas trying to retain possession, and he does. Christian giving them an opportunity here.
I don't know what happened to Douglas on that shot. It's like he just lost it Maybe he was too excited about the ensuing layup that he already envisioned in his head.
The double on Barone, he's seen a lot of that this year. Madison for three, short. And it's going the other way. It's going to be on Kyle Barone. It's second.
See, what I like about Barone, even though he got that foul attacking the glass, but he's a willing passer, hits the open player, and then he just goes up and tries to get the basketball. I don't know about that call. I can see why Barone was upset. It was first to the ball, and Barone was right there with him.
Pushing the 5-minute mark, Douglas pokes it free, loose ball, and a Utah State timeout as Davis goes to the floor to get it, and the Aggies will have the possession with just over 5 minutes to go. Great effort from both clubs here, and as we look at the WAC standings, Louisiana Tech has separated themselves from the pack a bit here. Michael White's done a great job, but you can see the importance of this one. You want to be in that upper half and avoid playing in the first round of the WAC tournament in Vegas.
You're right. You look at the middle, Utah State and Idaho. Those are three very good teams with UT Arlington in the middle, and these are all teams that honestly could vie for a WAC championship once they get to conference tournament. But they want to stay at that upper echelon, that top four, and it's going to be a dogfight to the last game to try to establish position.
Now the top six get a bye in the first round, and then you get the protected seeds in the top four. And speaking of success, look at the job that he has done at Utah State is amazing. When you are mentioned along with Duke, Kansas, and Gonzaga, you're doing something right.
Trey, what he's done is he's created a culture, a winning culture, a winning tradition where they don't expect to win games, they expect to win WAC championships. And really that's what they're struggling with most now is the inability to win on the road and at home.
And perfect execution by Jared Shaw as he drops one in with 1 second on the shot clock.
I really love the game plan by Coach Morrow coming in here. A little bit of pressing. They're attacking offensively, but they are the team hitting the Vandals in the mouth first, but playing with that aggression.
58% shooting now. Madison moving against Gene. Shot clock under 10. McChristian for three, and that's good. He's 37% from out there. The senior can do a little bit of everything for the Vandals.
And what they found out about McChristian is that he plays a lot better off the ball than when he did when he was running the point guard. And you saw the confidence that he had in that last shot, stepping into it and shooting it with confidence. 4 of 6 now from three-point land for Idaho. Shaw against Wendell Thanes. Another post that's into the game, and Shaw steps back and hits that shot. Shaw is feeling it now. Well, yeah, Jared Shaw, young man out of Dallas Carter. He's going to have to be that guy in the post to step up for the Aggies. 12 points, 6 of 7 from the field, and a timeout at the 3:49 mark. Maybe WAC newcomer of the year. I mean, and he's a lot is on his shoulders now with the injuries to Reed and DeMetrius. And looking at this last play by McChristian, great drive and kick by Steven Madison, and you see McChristian stepping up into his shot, confident, knocking it down. And for a player like that who has moved position but is an integral glue guy for the Vandals, that's a huge shot for him and for the team. These are teams that are so well coached and have hit a bump in the road here. Of course, the injuries to Utah State, a big reason why, but Idaho not being able to finish games. I mean, you lose so many close games, and it'd be helpful to win a close game to give them some confidence. Trey, losing 5 out of the last 7 by an average of 5 points, so that's a couple bounces, and this team is number 1 or number 2 in the WAC. And so this team never put their heads down. They're still playing with confidence, but they have to learn to finish out basketball games. The most painful, and Coach Verlin called it heartbreaking, was the loss of Logan, 82-75 in overtime, with Medlin hit a 3 to send that game into the extra period. And there was a lot of games, Trey, where the teams did not necessarily beat them, but the Vandals somewhat beat themselves with bonehead plays down the stretch. 2 on the clock, and Fames banks it in off the feed from McChristian. Senior from Lincoln, Nebraska, big body at 6'8" and 250. And that was just good poise down the stretch, not rushing the shot when the shot clock went down, trusting in your offense. Over 3 minutes now, first half. Butterfield almost threw it away. Davis, collision. Blocking foul is called. It's on Fames.
Fourth team foul on Idaho and a timeout with 2:53 to go. It has been a physical battle. Two teams that know each other well. Faines on the inside. The lead is 3. Here in Moscow, 26-23 Aggies. Both teams shooting 60% from the field. But how about Shaw, WAC newcomer of the year frontrunner?
You know, you have a point. A young man that from Dallas Carter, 6 for 7 from the field right now for 12 points. And against Louisiana Tech, they said he played the hardest that he's played all year, and that's the type of aggressiveness they want from him all year. Nice face-up game. Jared Shaw has to be that man in the block for the Aggies, and he has to establish that paint for them in order for them to win on the road.
Third year at Division I, Oklahoma State transfer. The numbers dominating here in the first half. Just one miss as Davis cashes in on the free throw. This freshman has been impressive as well. Really, dictating tempo and pushing the pace from the outset.
And really what's impressed the coaches about Davis is when he's had those shooting woes, it never affected the other parts of his game. He still was an assist guy. He still ran the basketball team. But now when he's added that shot-making ability to his repertoire, you can see the confidence that puts on the Aggies.
Glad you're with us at the Cowan Spectrum. Utah State and Idaho, second meeting. The Aggies winning the first matchup in overtime in Logan. With Christian for 3, misses that time, and the rebound pulled down by Matt Lopez.
Now when Kyle Barone's on the bench, that means Connor Hill has to step up and Steven Madison has to be that man offensively.
They almost turn it over. Back into Davis's hands. It's not often a freshman is a calming influence, but that appears to be the case with Davis.
And you really haven't seen a lot of those freshman blunders that accompany a lot of times when you have freshmen running the show for you.
Off the Butterfield miss 3, here's Douglas. Faines hands it off to McChristian.
Did a good job on Connor Hill, not letting them get free for the 3.
Lost the handle on it. And then a foul call. That's unfortunate for Butterfield, who did a good job up to that point with his defense.
No, it really was. And with the shot clock dwindling down, you want to be patient with your defense. And you see staying in front of Connor Hill, and Hill just lost the basketball partly because of the defense that Spencer Butterfield played on him. But you need to follow that through. Just stay in front. Don't want to cause that foul.
First on Butterfield, 4th team foul. Nobody in foul difficulty here late in the first half. Madison off balance, misses the shot. Butterfield the rebound.
But again, you see Morrow telling them slow it down. If you don't have a fast break transition with numbers, he wants to run their sets and get shots that they want.
Utah State has gotten more production than just Shaw and Butterfield. That was the case in their loss against Louisiana Tech in their last outing. Here's Davis. Shot clock at 8. Clifford lost the handle. Turnover. Poke free by Davis. Faines retrieves it.
A little too much dribbling by Harris. He needs to use that pass a little bit more than the dribble to beat the defense of the Aggies.
But Christian with the left hand.
You saw him look at his left too. Like, hold up now. You saw me use the left. Give me some props.
The magic left hand that time for the senior from Vacaville, California. He's been so important to their success.
Well, he kind of looked at his left like he didn't know he had it left up until that point.
5-second difference, shot clock and game clock here. The Aggies will melt this one down here.
And if I'm the Aggies of Utah State, I'm excited about the position that I am up 3 in this basketball game. They want to take some momentum into half. Try to go in there with the lead.
Jean with 3 on the shot clock, drills the 3 from the right wing. He shoots it well from out there, 3rd in the WAC. Now here's Harris trying to answer, and he comes up short with his half-court attempt. Stu Morrill has to be very pleased. A 6-point lead at the break as they're shooting 59% from the field.
Utah State 11-0 when they lead at half. You go in with the 6-point lead. You play exceptional with all those players out with injuries and conditions. Coach Morrill has to be excited about the way they're playing.
Shaw leading the way with 12 points. Davis has 8 coming up. Some fantastic finishes have kept college basketball fans on the edge this season. We'll take a look.